Harrison Price for Wednesday, January 28th.
Surprised.
Didn't surprise me.
No?
Always a little something I got to get in on X before
Social media, distractions. As a father, I understand it. See a lot of social media distraction.
Blake's got 4 children at home and 1 here in the studio.
Ding, ding.
Wednesday, January 8th, 2026, presentation of Bet365. And I'm taking all Bet365's money this week, you may have noticed.
Oh, are you? You're winning.
We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio here at the historic Wall Center. Visit shoptoyota.ca. Visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Matt Sakaris alongside Blake Price, 4-time Juno Award winner Mike Rogerson, hitting switches, conducting things with intern Quinlan Curry. Big show coming up for you after another Vancouver Canucks loss.
But one a little different than the rest.
And another one on home ice.
And yet a little different than the rest.
15 of 16 now.
If they have one win in a 20-game stretch, Matt, which we're getting very close to here, like that's a quarter of a season with a single victory. That would be something.
That is truly something. So is this home ice record. 5-17-3 now. More on this with Rob Williams later in the
I'll say this, though, Matt.
program. Even the Rangers, who have been so stinking awful at home, been shut out there 6 times at the Garden, they have 4 fewer regulation losses than the Canucks on home ice. They have 1 additional victory. They have 6 wins on home ice. You know, people in New York can't believe this. And as you know, a New York crowd is not the most sympathetic. Like, they've got the Islanders tonight. And as you know, like, crosstown, that's a rivalry regardless of how bad both teams are. Now, the game's at the Islanders, so the home crowd won't get on them there. But holy cow, you can see that as a Rabbit Ears franchise, they've been pretty jumpy in the past. They've already made a trade, and with the Islanders this week with ex-Canucks Carson Soucy going out. But you do wonder whether some of the Rangers' big fish may drop here if it's another embarrassing loss tonight to the crosstown rivals.
Canucks built up like a 6-7 point cushion for last place after about 8 games in a row when their big long losing streak. After about the 8th loss in a row.
What were those numbers again?
6, yeah, right. I think we're past that. I think we're well past that now. But they haven't made up much more of a cushion since then. They've only had the 1 win since that original 6-7 point cushion began. But they can't shake free because the Flames have got 3 wins in their last 10 games. The Blues have got 2 wins in their last 10 games. And the Rangers have 2 wins in their last 10 games. They're 11 points clear of the Canucks right now. But point is Tank Commanders still need to be on high alert. They do need to have the radar in operation.
Well, we are getting pretty close, though, Blake.
Once it gets to double digits, you can exhale. But they're having trouble getting it to double digits.
Yeah, more on that with Corrado later. St. Louis. Like,
man,
no, our tank is faster or bigger than or more powerful than your tank.
They have a winning record at home. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, come on, St. Louis. That's not how this is done. Our poll question today brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. Are you worried about the future of Canucks goaltending? We asked this after Thatcher Demco off for another hip surgery, shut down for the season. And, of course, after Kevin Lankinen getting pulled last night early after allowing 3 goals, 6 shots in less than 6 minutes. Mr. Price, what says you?
You know what? They have enough candidates in the system that you have to believe that somebody hits. I don't think that Kevin Lankinen is playing his best hockey. I think he
Nope.
can be better than he has been. I have been intrigued by Tolopilo, and there's not a whole lot of cardinal sins that I've seen that makes me downgrade him too much. Do you want his numbers to be better? Yes. But between the two guys that are here in front of us right now, and the likes of Medvedev and Young and Koskinvuo, who just came off his first pro shutout with the Abbey Canucks, I mean, there's a lottery ticket in there that's going to pay out to some degree.
Respective of what Kevin Woodley said on our show yesterday, goaltending guru in Goal Media, and especially given that most of these goalies are of the Ian Clark stamp of approval, you've got 4 cracks here. One should turn out between Tolopilo, Young, Koskinvuo, and Medvedev still down in the OHL. And Kevin also told us yesterday, and maybe last night's game notwithstanding, goaltending has not been the problem for the Vancouver Canucks this year. Don't get me wrong, it hasn't been great, but it is more the way they have played in front of their goaltenders that has sunk them to 31st and dead last in the National Hockey League.
Yes, without a doubt.
Now, all that said, I did vote yes. And I did vote yes because right now you cannot, with clarity, better than 50-50 bet, pinpoint a goaltender of the future. And before everybody starts yelling at me about Alexei Medvedev, let me just say this. Alexei Medvedev is not a better than 50-50 chance of being a starting number 1 NHL goaltender right now.
No, you can't know that.
Kevin Lankinen has never been a number 1 primary starter in the National Hockey League. I know everybody wants Medvedev to turn out. There seems to be a current amongst Canucks social media that he is the goaltender of the future, lock, stock, and barrel. Remember this, most second-round goaltenders don't make it. He's a second-round goaltender. I realize Thatcher Demco did. Fair enough. But most second-round goaltenders don't make it. He is minimum Medvedev 3 years away. Probably more like 4 or 5 years away. We chronicled just the other day, there's a few struggles now in his game with London. Now, a lot of potential, a lot of promise there. Seems to be a consensus that he was an excellent goaltending prospect, and the Canucks did well to add him, although our buddy Cam Robinson thought it was a little early, where they took him in the middle of the second round last year. There's a saying in baseball with scouts and with those who track baseball prospects. If you think you have 5 starting pitching prospects, you probably only have 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Because somewhere along their journeys through the minor leagues, they are going to trip up. In some cases, they'll get to AA or AAA, come across some guys who can really hit fastballs, and that's that. In some cases, they blow out their elbows. In some cases, they get to the major leagues, and they just can't handle everything that comes with being a professional athlete. So I think that applies here to Canucks goaltending.
Second round draft picks in the NHL right now in goal. Jacob Markstrom, John Gibson, Jake Allen, Tristan Jarry, Mackenzie Blackwood, Thatcher Demko, Carter Hart, Alexander Nedeljkovic, Philip Gustafsson, Calvin Pickard, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yeah.
Not to mention Anthony Stolarz as well. So, and there's more, but those are the top names. So
So you can find some who make it, but of course, do me the list now of the guys who didn't make it.
Here's the thing, Matt. It's not a big list because here's the thing. They're not drafting goalies in the first 2 rounds anymore. Like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Fewer.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is the only goalie in his draft class in the second round, and he made it.
Okay.
So, there's examples like that where it's just not happening. People aren't drafting goalies. They're not too hot on them.
I thought there was a school of thought now that goaltenders in the second round were more popular because they're not going in the first
They're
round.
not going to the first. Everything's being pushed down, yes.
Mm-hmm. Just looking at the 24 NHL entry draft, goaltender went 34th, didn't play an NHL game.
In what year?
2014.
2014. Okay.
Well, just because I want to give her enough runway to determine
No, I know.
whether.
But I'm saying I think this is a last 10-year phenomenon. Like I'm looking in 2022, 2 goalies were drafted in the second round. Like these are really small
did they
sample
make it?
sizes. Well, it's 2022. So.
Okay.
But my point is, it's not a very big sample, I don't think, anymore because they're just not happening.
Yeah. Well, it's fair to say most of them don't make it.
Well, here's another way of looking at it. The goalie drafted in the second round is probably the second or third highest picked goalie of the draft year.
Yeah, in some cases.
That's a recent phenomenon. That wouldn't have been the case 15 years ago.
Yeah. Anyways, again, this has been brought to light by the latest injury to Thatcher Demco. Good synopsis of his injury travails here by our old friend Grady Sass, including playoffs. Demko has missed 159 games, which is nearly 2 full NHL seasons with roughly 5 different injuries. And look at the number.
I got 3 pages worth.
Yeah, there's 3 pages of this, Blake.
Yeah.
Where he left or missed time, came back. Of course, some of it is COVID, shouldn't really apply. But look at that. Look at that. For those of you not on visual platforms, these are lists of the different times that Thatcher Demco has missed games with injuries or was declared too hurt to practice.
Mike, can you make sure that you delete your cookies at the end of the day here? We can't have all that taking up space. That's just too much work on our hard drive. It's a lot of memory.
And forgot this yesterday, but there was trade interest in Thatcher Demco leading up to this past draft. It was a few days before the draft when Darren Dreger reported he's been taken off the block. And that's, of course, because they signed him to the extension.
Yeah, because I think the reporting around it at the time when he was on the block was that it's not a good return. And they valued him more than the rest of the league did. And they said, well, we're not going to give him away at that.
Well, okay, but what's the return now? There is no return.
Well, I think the right answer for all of this is what we talked about yesterday. You should have used the time. Mm-hmm. And you would have known as of when, Matt? December 15th? Probably
November 11th when he left that game against the Jets is when you're first on high alert.
Your caution would have been raised then, and then it's solidified weeks later.
Yeah. And then when he gets back, your MO is you move him for whatever you can get before the next injury strikes, and the next injury was 2 months later, January 10th.
Yellow Dog is starting to talk to you about some springy drinks.
Love it.
They're reminding you of the Hive peach hard iced tea, like to keep things peachy, being from the valley, from the Okanagan Valley, of course, Yellow Dog Spirits. And Hive peach hard iced tea is the personification of them. Lakes to peaks, they'll keep you hydrated on any trail your day takes you, whether it's on skis or on a bike. Refreshing, rejuvenating, and oh so peachy from Yellow Dog. We can't keep them in stock.
No, we
certain
can't.
producer likes
not
them.
with this lot.
Yeah. Juno guy.
I mean, he's in the music and entertainment business. They imbibe. Even more so than the sports media crowd.
Well, I don't know. Tight race.
Have you ever been around a sports media member who pulled out the size of bat that Snoop Dogg did when you worked with him?
Well, fair enough.
If so, it was a wooden bat. The other thing I love is I've been talking this week about things that make Vancouver the best city in Canada and BC the best province in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with much of the east buried under snow, like minus 50 with the wind chill in Winnipeg, where Blake spent some time growing up. when I first moved here, people would talk about spring in February. And I'd be like, what? Spring in February? And then sure enough, like February's would come around and you'd get these bellwether days.
And the flowers are out.
Yeah, like it's like 13, 14 degrees and flowers are blooming under sunny skies and people are on golf courses. You don't get that anywhere else in Canada.
Nope.
It's amazing. Uh-oh, Mike. Okay. Thought I might have had a technical mishap there. Top story brought to you by Pacific Blue Cross. Red lines crossed for the Canucks defensively, and the red line was crossed all night for the San Jose Sharks.
And the blue line and the goal line.
And all the lines. Vancouver woefully deficient in a 5-2 loss to Macklin's Celebrini and the Sharks at Rogers Arena. The North Van prodigy with a 4-point night as San Jose scores 3 times in the opening period and probably should have had twice that. The Vancouver Canucks gave up 14 scoring chances in the opening stanza. Are you okay?
I'm good, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I shouldn't move.
And that was about as bad as they've looked defensively in any period all season. We all understand that this is a rebuild. They aren't very good, and they're going to lose plenty of games from here. But that was not NHL defending last night. Michael Misa looked better against the Vancouver Canucks than he looked at the World Juniors. Like the Czechs bottled up Michael Misa better than the Vancouver Canucks last night.
So I'm getting a lot of feedback, Matt, on people saying, you guys asking for a tank and then criticizing losses.
There's a nuance to it. The world is not black and white. There are many gray areas.
So the question is that a narrow path, losing better?
Yes.
Is it a narrow path or is it a medium? Because I would argue it's not that narrow of a path. I would say,
by definition, it's a narrow path, Blake, but it's.
I think it's medium. I think it's.
Okay,
I think it's a more attainable feat.
I'll concede.
Than people are making it.
I'll concede.
Yeah.
Effort.
Yeah, I mean that's the baseline. Yeah.
Effort and structure is not too difficult to achieve in the National Hockey League, or at least it shouldn't be. You often see teams in the NHL. We had one here a couple of years ago, especially in the second half, where, okay, maybe you're not the most gifted club offensively. You're not overflowing with puck-moving defensemen who are really comfortable playing with the puck and generating offense. You don't have a lot of grade A finishers, guys who can score goals from distance. You don't have a ton of setup artists who play make and create goals for their teammates. But you stay competitive and you win games because 5 skaters commit to the defensive side of the puck, playing that first and foremost and keeping the puck out of your own net. Goal prevention becomes your staple, to use the Talkit word. And that keeps you competitive or even floats your boat to a level that you probably shouldn't be at, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has been wholly absent this year, Blake, and it's been particularly absent of late.
There are acceptable goals to give up in the National Hockey League.
For sure.
Like you're going to give up goals. The other team has skilled players on them too. I would say the biggest issue, and again, is it player or is it coach? When you've got so many goals happening because of players being out of position, you can be in the right position and still be infiltrated. You can be in the right position, but the other guy's just more skilled and makes a play on you. But there's been way too many instances of, hello, why is their best player in space in the slot?
Yeah. Or why have 4 guys gone and chased the puck carrier
in the one corner,
leaving myriad options,
hectares
for a
of
pass.
Space? Yes.
Like 2 or 3 guys are open on any given play because 4 of you have gone to chase the puck carrier.
Either too confusing a system or not good enough players.
That's it. Those are the 2 answers. And if it's the latter, then it's incumbent on your coaching staff to make that adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And that adjustment seemingly has not happened with this coach. More on structure in a second. And yes, we are going to have this conversation about, I thought you wanted them to lose. Why are you criticizing this, that, and the other thing? As I mentioned, that was not NHL defending last night. Ferraro said at one point in the first, the Canucks really need to stop the cross-seam pass here. Like, when the puck's going back and forth, east-west in your offensive zone, that easily, that is not NHL caliber play.
The sweet Georgia Brown was
well, that's
was
it.
playing.
When they look like the Harlem Globetrotters on ice.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 25 scoring chances for the Sharks for the first two periods before they took the foot off the gas. So let's hear from Coach Foote on the mistakes last night on those early goals.
The first goal they got, one of our forwards went where he shouldn't have. But, I still thought that shouldn't have went in. But the next two were one D-man, you never see him do it. He just flubbed an outlet pass, and then we had another turnover. They made it 3-1, and then it seemed like we were just chasing from there. We tried to do too much to the neutral zone after that, kind of got off what we were all about, getting it deep and forechecking, and it looked like we were just out of sorts for a while there, just chasing.
A great point, speaking of structure, made last night I saw on X by the Sapster account, Edward. It's a good follow. When you consider how much Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin ran down Bruce Boudreau, like publicly criticized the guy, humiliated him really, about lack of structure, and I think even cut his future employment chances off at the pass, right? Like Bruce hasn't coached since. I'm not sure Bruce is going to coach again.
No.
So you spent a year shitting on Bruce Boudreau and his lack of structure, only to fire him. And okay, you fired him for Rick Tocchet, whose teams did have structure. But then you hired this guy. And as he writes, I'm not even big on structure, but there needs to be some general guidelines, not whatever the hell this is. Yeah.
Yeah, I do bristle too, though, just hearing Adam Foote. I mean, this isn't a very skilled team, but, pucks deep that's basically the offensive strategy now.
Well,
pucks deep.
No, but we had a forward go the wrong way or go to the wrong guy. Let's also hear from Foote on why he pulled Lankinen. Here's Coach.
Well, when it happens that fast, and he's been through a lot and good for us, and then the way it happened there that quick, that I just thought it was the right time to do it.
Yeah, and frankly, I was with you, Coach, on that. Although, to me, it was as much a mercy pull as it was a performance pull.
Yeah, for the most part, it's that. And here's the other calculus for him is you don't want to wait till middle of the second period because then there's no rest for anybody at that point.
Correct.
So he played so little last night that he's not taxed at all, and you can play in the next game as if he didn't even play in this game.
100%.
If he plays 35 minutes and it's 5-0 at 5-1 at that point, you're really not serving either goalie well.
But also, Blake, of course, in his mind's eye, because they're trying to win the hockey game, hey, 3-1 is something we can come back from. We erased 2-goal leads several times last week.
Yeah, and that was the key thing.
So
they had scored first.
Competitive considerations are at play here as well.
Yeah, the micro.
So
and the macro.
I thought that was the right move.
Yeah,
I actually found myself good on you, Coach. Well done.
And we've also seen a team
call.
that sags, and of course, one of the time-honored traditions to get your team's attention is to pull the goalie. So there was also that. Unfortunately, he couldn't really prevent the sag.
Yep. Local connections aplenty on the Sharks goals. Macklin scores. So does ex-Canuck Tyler Toffoli, ex-Canuck Adam Gaudette. And then Will Smith scored in the second period. And as J-Pat noted, his namesake shot, iRobot, here in Vancouver.
I think they might have been a different guy.
Like I said, his namesake shot, iRobot, here in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And how about this? Can we call it the Celebrini curse?
Are you talking about the Dodgers catcher?
Well, Canadian sports fans have an issue with him as well, based on his exploits in the World Series, that home run he hit.
Didn't know he was in iRobot.
Can we call it the Celebrini curse? Avowed Canucks fan. Even started a Let's Go Canucks chant, or at least joined in at that playoff game a couple of years ago before he was drafted, and said, I wanted to get one more Go Canucks Go chant in, get my Canucks fandom out of me before the draft.
Why is it a curse?
I was hearing about it at the he said I was hearing about it at the combine. The guys were letting me have it about, being a fan in the stands and cheering on the Canucks, knowing full well I wasn't going there in the NHL. But that's how big a Canucks fan he is. Here's what he also said at that combine. Or I believe it was actually at the World Under 18s that year. He wanted the Canucks to rebuild as a fan.
You know why?
Curse of the Bambino, curse of the Billy Goat, Celebrini curse.
And why, Matt? Because by the time that rebuild's complete, UFA.
Well, he's still a long way from being a UFA, so.
Time to sign Aiden to a long-term contract.
Elias Pettersson sets up both goals, but gets caved on the analytics.
Not good. Worst on the team.
5.8% Corsi for. The shots were 16-3 for San Jose at 5-on-5.
Worse yet is expected goals for as well, because often there's a lot of games where...
Sorry, shot attempts were 16-3, shots were 6-1.
Often there's a lot of games where shot attempts are from far because he tends to play such good defensive hockey that teams, when they do get shots, they're from a distance, and the expected goals against is not high, and his shots are more selective, as we know. Mm-hmm. And that can often mean that his limited shots for are in good, and he's got a high expected goals for. His expected goals for last night as the top line center for the Vancouver Canucks, 0.07. I think there was fans in the front row that had a higher expected goals for than what Elias Pettersson had.
That's like a Formula One margin in qualifying. Oh, he just missed the podium by 7/100ths of a second.
That's the difference between first and 17th in an alpine ski race. And his expected goals against, by the way, 0.77.
I did see someone tell me, if you agree, he does look a little more comfortable on the puck these days.
Oh, no, we talked about it. He absolutely does. His dekes are way better in the last 2 weeks.
Yep, shots even, a one-timer.
Yeah.
That part of his game is starting to come back. Jake DeBrusk, 2 helpers. That could help trade value. We'll see. And the rookie Tom Willander, he scores a goal. It was 2 goals by Canucks defensemen as Philip Roenick continued his fine season and added a goal. But
he must have been happy with his game afterwards, I would guess.
Well, you're a rookie in the NHL. You score, you're happy. But your team loses and really gets their heads kicked in. I mean,
wasn't close.
5-2, but could have been.
Should have been.
So NHL code tells you, okay, I can't show joy or be enthusiastic about that goal. I'll sort of slough off questions about that goal in the post game and focus on the team and the loss. But not to this extent, Tom. Take a listen to Willander's just...
Poor Tom.
I mean, you just got beat up on the ice, Tom. You don't need to give yourself another flogging in the post-game scrum. Here he is.
I don't know. I don't think we played good anywhere today. I think pretty much every detail was bad. Can't name anything good today.
How frustrating is that with the way things have been going lately to have another game where you're not pleased with the way things ended ultimately?
Yeah, I don't know. It's annoying. I think, at least like the last few times we had like results like this, I think we did a decent job in many parts of our game, but today I thought it was awful.
I love it.
Wow.
I love it. Honestly, that is.
After that got out, the Canucks pull him aside. Tom, too honest. Awful? No. We don't use that word.
But you know what?
No parts of the game, Tom. You have to serve up at least a platitude.
You don't want to hear that every night. But I hope to God that the Vancouver Canucks managers and staffers realize that in isolation, That is the good stuff. Like, that's what gains you points with your fan base, not the other way around. That he should not be told to shut his mouth. If he's doing it every game, okay, maybe. But no, in isolation, accountability is a thing in our society.
Yep.
And if you say, after an awful game, we were awful, guess what you sound like? A smart, honest person.
Well, and Tom Willander has struck me as a smart, honest person from the second they drafted him, Blake.
Yeah.
The first question was, hold on, you're a Swede, you're going to Boston University? Yeah, well, he's academically inclined, wanted the educational experience, wanted to develop his game on North American soil playing NCAA hockey. Wow. Every single time we heard from him, we're like, this guy speaks perfect and beautiful English, and many Swedes do, but he's extremely articulate. And I think he is conscientious and responsible and accountable and all those things.
And if Saddam's communications officer there has them,
What loss? There is no loss.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, Victor Mancini, we've talked about how this is a critical point in his fledgling NHL career and career with the Vancouver Canucks. He has been given opportunities to be an NHL regular on defense. He hasn't seized them. He has been bypassed by Willander and another young defenseman in EPD. He's even got some push from below in Kirill Kudryavtsev and Sawyer Minio. So it's put up time for Victor Mancini. Shot attempts with Mancini on the ice, 21-4 for San Jose. Shots 9-2. I know you think I'm being harsh on him, and I guess I'm pulling for him because I pull for big guys, especially big guys who can move because I'm big and I can't move. And I loved what Ferraro and Corrado and many others who had seen him with the Rangers said to us at the time of the trade, which is nearly a year ago. We're coming up on the year anniversary. And I think he's a spectacle when he's rushing with the puck, as we have seen from time to time, mostly at Abbotsford. Like, to me, that's fun. A big guy who wants to carry the puck from the right side of defense, skate through zones and create offense. Yes, more of that, please. But I agree with Cam Robinson. He's now got to pick a lane and I'm a third pair NHL defenseman who's got to focus on shutting down the opposition.
Do you know who he beat in rate in terms of shot attempts allowed per 60 last night?
Elias Pettersson?
Well, Elias Pettersson, the defenseman, but
no, the center.
No, but in terms of defenseman, let's compare apples to apples.
Okay.
Philip Rourke.
Oh, really?
Philip Rourke was 21-7 in less ice time, in a minute's less ice time.
Oh, wow. 5-on-5 ice time.
5-on-5.
Yeah. Jonathan Lakramaki, 4 shots, 6 attempts, 16 minutes, 5 seconds of ice time. And was on the power play. And Ferraro almost called another shot there in terms of if Lakramaki just moves a little bit to his... Encouraged by Lakramaki.
Yep.
Encouraged.
There's a confidence now that he's got that he's starting to want the puck on his stick.
Yes, that's it.
And you can see that. And honestly, his play the last 5 games at the AHL level showed that.
Yeah.
It was give it to me.
Better than an AHL player.
Yeah.
Not yet an NHL player, but that could be on the verge of a breakthrough with Lakramaki.
This guy's played 16 games at the AHL level. He's the goal-scoring leader of the Abbey Canucks.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you need to know.
And explain this one to me, Price. They are 0 for 7 with the 2-man advantage this season.
Yeah.
5-on-3 for $1.56 at 4-on-1 do not score. And then, of course, San Jose scores
On their 5-on-3.
Yeah.
Which was equally as long, basically, within seconds of being the same amount of time.
No, but they made it look like child's play.
Yes. Yeah.
The Canucks made it look like reading War and Peace.
Yeah, they played the 2 highlights or quote unquote scoring chances from the 5-on-3 after it was done, and there were 2 wide shots that were wide by a fair margin. It's not great. I mean, you expect a lot more. That's the thing with crappy teams. They often still have average power plays.
Well,
you only need 5 good players
in the
out there.
NHL, 5-on-4 and especially 5-on-3 is a
Yep, the Canucks have 5 good players. Like, you should be able to fashion in 7 elongated 5-on-3s. You should be able to fashion a goal. Cannot.
One would think.
Going to send people away? Mm-hmm. No, not in a bad way, although we'd like to do that sometimes as well. Send people out of town. We want to send you out of town in a good way, on a Canucks road trip. And the people to do it, Pacific Blue Cross. They have the ultimate Canucks road trip. Get Pacific Blue Cross travel insurance, and you'll have your chance to see the Canucks on the road, complete with flights, hotel, lower bowl tickets, good ones, and more. No purchase necessary. Contest ends February 28th, 2026. Enter now at pacificbluecross.ca/Canucks.
Time now for Crave the Stats, brought to you by Uber Eats. Lots of scouts in attendance last night as deadline season is upon us. And Evander Kane put his best foot forward in terms of fancy stats, Blake Price. Best Corsi of any Canuck forward on a night where they get rinsed.
And on a night where they did not, the coaches put him in a position to succeed, put him on the fourth line. And he said, you know what, I'll make chicken salad. And he did. He did the best he could, 1043. He was the only forward at 50% or better in shot attempts.
And you say chicken salad. I love this tweet from Bruff. Not surprised Kane did something to get noticed by all the scouts in attendance. The Canucks gave him Ratu and Höglander as line mates and none of that 5-on-3. So, altercation with Liljegren.
Yeah, and that was another thing that people thought was...
Evander knows the game.
Yeah.
I heard Saravelli on their show this morning, and I thought he hit the nail on the head when he said, Evander Kane likes the trappings of being an NHL player better than he likes being an NHL player. I think that's where we're at with Kane. And I go back to training camp and preseason when he scoffed at the notion that he was going to give a full effort in a preseason game. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a fucking made NHL, but you're asking me this question? And while I can understand that in isolation, and frankly applaud the honesty, because I think there's a lot of NHL vets who don't give a shit and don't put forth an effort in preseason. There's even an argument that why should they? It is rare to hear it so dismissed like that, particularly by a new player to the market, particularly by a new player to the room. And one of the things, if you remember the conversation after they acquired Evander Kane, was they should get a really motivated player. He's in the final year of his contract. He's playing for his NHL future. He didn't play a single NHL regular season game last year. And with a good year, and he's playing in front of his hometown fans for the team that he wanted to play for. And yet, have you seen a motivated player? Have you seen a player who's brought urgency?
Or
No,
even...
he picks spots. And if he's picking spots because the body just cannot, which is possible, it doesn't allow him, then, okay, more understandable.
He also hasn't really seemed to revel so much in the hometown thing.
No, he hasn't.
Mike, can you put the Crave the Stats page back up there? I also want to point one other thing out here on a night where, we're starting to take note of scouts. Who on this list? This is the best players for Corsi last night for the Vancouver Canucks. Who don't you want traded off this list?
Tom Willander and Liam Ogren. Although my boy Ogren is starting to fade a little bit too. We haven't talked about him much of late.
But he's young enough. But there's literally maybe Ratu if you're still a truther there.
No,
the best players, the best candidates for trade were sort of the best players on the ice last night. For the Vancouver
Canucks.
Ratu
might as well, unless you get a Godfather offer. I'm keeping Willander and Ogren, but the rest of them.
Yep.
Reported trade interest in Kane because he's a postseason style of player, and Big Head Hockey with some data there that we can bring up. This was Kane in the 2025 playoffs for the Edmonton Oilers, and remember, he didn't play a regular season game at all, so he got dropped in here. So these numbers are actually, for me, even more impressive than they would otherwise be. That is quite reasonable. In fact, that's quite good. When you look at the first two rounds especially, and you have to think, okay, maybe there was an attrition rate on the body there, but to be that good on the expected goals forward level in that forward group in rounds 1 and 2, That's outstanding.
Yeah, and they're probably going to clip all that and send it directly to the interested parties and say, do not look at this regular season nonsense of which you speak. You're going to the playoffs.
That's right.
This is the guy that you're invested in.
And honestly, Blake, if Evander is doing just enough to have trade deadline value and get to a contender and then it's going to crank it up, I can understand that a little bit. Don't necessarily approve. Wonder what that's going to do in terms of his next contract, but maybe he's sitting there thinking, if I just have a big playoff, someone's going to give me a multi-year deal.
But that attitude,
or at least a good price on a one-year deal.
That attitude is not a problem for the Vancouver Canucks or the acquiring team. Like, if he's trying now for whatever his motivations are, I think...
Well, it was an issue when the Canucks were trying to be competitive. It's not an
right,
issue
no,
now.
but I mean the here and now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Doesn't matter.
Our buddy Jeff Merrick says that the Devils are interested in Evander Kane. They were one of the 3 teams looking at him this summer when Edmonton put him on the block. More on that later this week with Jeff when he joins us. And Elliot Freeman saying on Edmonton radio, he's been told Kane won't be dealt till after the Olympic break, that nobody quite fancies paying him not to play, spending money and cap space during the break.
Yeah.
The Devils have had cap issues. They alleviated some of it yesterday. We'll get to that in a second. But it does stand to reason that cap-tight teams are not in the market to add players by the February 4th roster freeze, because all they're doing is spending cap space that they don't necessarily have or want to spend on guys to sit around a beach for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm actually hearing not only the cap spacing, but the finances thing that we talked about yesterday, that it's not just this owner. There's other owners that are just like, well, if they're not paying for me, my employees, I'm not paying.
Oh, yeah, no. That is,
You're
speaking
a billionaire.
Of red lines, speaking of red lines, though, no, but they're principled billionaires, Blake.
Principle, yeah, okay. You know, my chief principle, don't make dinner. That's my biggest principle. Use the Uber Eats app. Did again last night.
Boy, the Price family is wearing this out. Attaboy.
You know what? We have busy lives.
Yeah.
By the time we get back, settle things down at 6 o'clock, no one feels like cooking. Indian last night. It was good.
Oh, love Indian.
Game day deals are there on the app every single time. Go check it out. Whatever tickles your fancy. You can even get the supplies, the paper plates if you're having people over. Uber Eats assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Go check it out.
I just got a text from our buddy Randy Uhl, who's on the island now, but we used to play golf with him in Oliver. He says, for the show, Canucks should draft these Rourke twins from Soyuz. Randy,
they're all
one
the rage.
step ahead of you. Mike, bring up the graphic. Bring up the visual. Here are the Rourke twins for Medicine Hats.
Pretty impressive.
And as Rash points out in the tweet here, for the first time in forever, they have a pair of second-round picks. Rob Williams had this item. Canucks have never selected 2 players in the first round, 2 players in the second round. They're twins from Soyuz. They are leading Medicine Hat and Willie Desjardins' team in scoring.
They're leading the team in scoring.
They're projected to be second-rounders. Liam and Marcus Rourke. Love the names here, too.
Yeah.
Both forwards. You're telling me Marcus is the center, Liam is the winger. One's the setup guy. Marcus is the setup man. Liam is the finisher. Sedinary, anyone?
Marcus is above 1 assist per game at 53 assists in 47 games. Liam's at 20. He's pretty balanced. He's kind of Daniel-ish. 28 goals, 38 assists. He actually has more points than his brother. 66 points in 47 games, 65 for Marcus. I mean, I think it is an ingenious idea because like we said for years with the Twins, Matt, they have a built-in advantage if you get them both.
That's right.
They have a built-in hit-the-ground-running chemistry that 2 other prospects with the same stats do not have when you put them on the same line together.
That is correct. And the reason isn't just the twin thing.
No.
They have played more organized hockey together and likely on the same
line. And disorganized
hockey,
too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Which is maybe more important.
Just anybody else. That's right. When we get rid of the parents and the coaches, then they just go out there and have fun.
Because that's where the twin thing really gets amped up, is putting themselves in different scenarios. And I think it's a fabulous idea.
No, I agree.
And for most people have them in the second round. Craig Button has both of them in his top 30.
Right.
I think 22, 29, something to that effect. So he's actually quite high on them. It would not be a reach. It would not be weird for the Canucks to move like with that the high second round that they've got. Like if they take one of them there and then make a trade to get another high second rounder to get the other one, like that wouldn't be a crazy idea.
Yep, I could see that.
It's pretty intriguing.
Trade yesterday in the NHL, the New Jersey Devils acquired forward Maxim Siplikov from the Islanders for Andre Palat, a 2026 third-round pick and a 2027 sixth-round pick. We had mentioned earlier that New Jersey and Tom Fitzgerald, Fitzy,
Everyone calls him Fitzy.
Yeah, we're trying to shed cap space. As Frank Saravelli notes, pretty impressive swing by new Islanders general manager Mathieu Darche in 24 hours, trading with both his crosstown rivals. That's very odd, huh? He essentially gets Soucy, Palat, and a sixth-round pick for Siplikov because he got he spent a third to get Carson Soucy, but he got a third back, while also potentially improving his position in that 2026 third round. Frank says he leveraged cap space to improve. And yeah. Now, he may regret the Palat contract next year.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, Fitzy did okay here too.
He gets the room.
Well, Siplikov had a very nice rookie season. He's been abhorrent this year, and he came over older, so it's not like he's a younger player from Russia, that is. But he can bury Siplikov in the minors, save the $1.15 million you get for burying NHL contracts in the minors. So with Palat going out and the savings reaped by burying him, if he wants, he's created $4.75 million in cap space, prorated for this year, but in its entirety for next year.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, that could prove useful.
Cap wages got him at 6.7 actively right now. That's before a possible burial like that you're talking about. So
exactly.
That could get to basically $8 million.
Yeah. And, of course, this was a team that was trying to create cap space to get Quinn Hughes and reunite the Hughes brothers last month and failed to do so.
And Matt, they also, of course, apparently want to deal Dougie Hamilton.
Although he's been playing pretty well here, and they got Luke Hughes on the shelf, so he may have to reconsider that.
But are they loading up for Panarin? Are they going to make another intra-New York deal? And
wow, that would be something. Here's the other thing. The Devils at one point were looking to move Palat just about anywhere. They had talked to the Canucks and inquired about Vancouver's interest in Palat, and the Canucks, of course, said, well, it's a big contract. Had two people tell me yesterday Palat told the Devils he's not coming to Vancouver. But they had talked to him about, okay, where will you accept trades? Where are you not accepting trades via his trade protection?
If you're Panarin, who has a no-move clause, do you not just say, yeah, by all means, I'll waive to the place where I can still drive to?
Exactly. Well, I think that's what both of these deals had something. Like, apparently the Soucys are expecting.
Yeah.
So Carson was like, oh, gosh, the Islanders? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think Plata was the same thing. Oh, okay.
Bit of a longer commute, but I don't have to move.
Well, depending on where he lives, some of them live on the Jersey side, Blake.
Yeah.
Or some of them live in Manhattan.
Yeah, I think a lot of them, the single guys anyway, would.
Some of them live in Tony, Westchester County. Some of them live in Tony, Greenwich, Connecticut.
It's true.
TSN Insider Trading, the Detroit Red Wings, ones to watch at this deadline, in part because Steve Yzerman did really not much at all at last year's deadline and got a haranguing from his captain, Dylan Larkin. It was like they felt they had a room that, bring a guy in. They had earned the right to have some reinforcements for a playoff push. Dreger reporting the Wings want a second-line center and a top-four right shot D, but with term. They are not big on rentals. Yzerman wants guys with term.
Said
they're willing, they're in full shopping mode, and they are willing to put lots of their draft picks in play. Now, he did not specify. We will ask him Monday when we have Dregs on the show. But you wonder whether that's also the draft picks, the high draft picks that they have had marinating.
Steve, how would you feel about term so juicy that it'll, be dripping down your face. How about that?
Yeah. And we've gone over it before. The 2 first-round picks in 2023 are with the Wings. Nate Danielson, the center, and Axel Sandin Pellikka, who was taken with that pick. Vancouver sent them for Philip Roenick.
They have their first-round picks for this year and next.
That's right. Michael Brandzeg Nygaard, a Norwegian winger. They took 15th overall in 2024. He is dipped toe in the NHL. And then last year's first-rounder, Carter Bear, winger with the Everett Silvertips. I'd read something. He's not doing as well as he did last year. He might be backsliding a little bit in his draft plus 1 year.
The Norwegian
but still
kids,
a pretty decent prospect. And then, of course, they have picks. Max Plant, for example, who was a World Junior player for Team USA, he's having an extraordinary season at Minnesota Duluth. He's 20-20-40 in 26 games. So they have identified and selected some players beyond the first round who are right now trade assets because of the seasons they've had since they've been selected.
Yeah, the Norwegian kid is interesting because he's 20, full season in the AHL, and doing pretty well. And it's not a 20-year-old's league, and he's doing pretty well.
And Blake, that is a big kid. He is 6'1", 205, and he plays with physicality. I've seen some clips of that kid. He is not afraid of corners and boards, and he is a hefty bit of business. I think that's why he got 9 games with the Red Wings this year. It's like he's physically mature and a right shooter, too.
I had Zamplant at the Spengler.
The other Plant?
The other Plant,
Yeah.
but Max is better. Younger and better.
Well, I even like that kid Jenberg they took from Sweden in the second round. I like the cut of his jib in the World Juniors. And Blake, he's 16 points in 30 games this year in the Swedish top division. Like, you're a half-point per game player as an 18-year-old
That's
in the
impressive.
Swedish top division.
Mm-hmm.
That's good territory as well. So, yeah, Detroit's got a really nice arsenal of picks, prospects, players that they're able to deal for a team that's been very good this year. You got to give them.
I was just going to say, if you haven't looked at the NHL standings in the East lately, folks, don't look now. The Detroit Red Wings are at 69 points. They are 1 off the conference lead.
Yep.
If it wasn't for, and this would go for a lot of teams, because there's a lot of teams at 69 or 70 points right now. The Avs are winning the President's Trophy, but the race for second in the league is, it is tight.
Yeah. And honestly, the NHL is better when Detroit is in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Hockey Town USA. It is one of the few American cities that lives and breathes the game.
Now, they were noted the last time they were in the playoffs for not selling tickets in the playoffs. There was empty seats the last time they were in the playoffs. But
that won't be the case.
I don't think that will be the case. I think because people
see
see this as a team that is capable, that a team that is worth watching, as opposed to the later incarnations.
Let's get to our menu. It's brought to you by Greta, a fantastic spot to pregame or postgame. You're mere steps from the stadium or the arena. It's also a great spot if you're looking for a room to entertain. Office party, family reunion, team party, whatever the case may be. Check out Greta. They've got the fantastic street food menu. You're surrounded by arcade games. You got the private riser in the back, surrounded by televisions. Staff is fantastic. Location convenient. For more info to book your event, gretabar.com, Greta 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. We are going to speak to Frank Corrado here on... Well, Frank went through rebuilds, so every week it seems we're going to be talking to Frank about different subtleties about the rebuild process from the eyes of a player in the room looking out as opposed to what we all do looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll also talk to Rob Williams. He's fresh back off a long Australian vacation. Lucky him. On the Canucks and Canucks tickets going forward here. You know Rob is big on attendance and tickets and tracks all that. Later in the program, Bill Belichick snubbed by the Pro Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee. Nathan Rourke resigns with the BC Lions, extends, I should say. Ryan Gauld is off for surgery. More Caps activity on the player personnel front.
At Super
And we have flag bearers. One of them is a British Columbian for the Milano Cortina Olympics.
At Super 70 Sports on Twitter, Bill Belichick waited 49 years for his girlfriend to be born. The Hall of Fame will be a piece of cake for him. He can wait.
We don't get into it, but I did wonder, like, is sort of the spectacle that Belichick and Jordan have become, did that affect him in the I sure hope not, right?
No, I don't think so.
Like, don't get me wrong. It is
the weirdest thing on the planet.
campy, kitschy, like
It's the weirdest
a little distasteful, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
cringy.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cringy. Okay, time now for our Bet365 bets of the day. I have won
So much.
both times this week.
Tired of winning.
Well, we got Mac on at 3 points last night at +3, whatever it was.
Yeah, but did you have it at exactly 3 or
No,
3
3
plus?
3 plus.
Yeah?
Believe so. Mike, check the tape.
Yeah, better check it.
And we had Zverev on Monday. And actually, we were pretty good last week until we got to the NFL games where I completely botched it. I'm looking at Rangers Islanders. I think Islanders are motivated after getting new players in their room. I think seeing that Rangers crest and knowing they're down, like blood in the water.
Mm-hmm.
They're at home. They're a favorite. So I'm going on the puck line here. I will lay the 1.5 goals, hope for the empty netter, or just a blowout without need of empty netter. Islanders +180.
It's the Farmers Insurance Open on the PGA Tour this week, which means somebody not named Scotty Scheffler gets to win.
Scotty not in the event?
He's not in it.
Wonder why Scotty's not in it.
So it's time for somebody else to jump up. And why not Taylor Pendrith, who's played pretty well here late in last season and early to start this year. I don't need him to win. I need him in a top 10. A top 10 for Pendrith +350.
This segment, a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION when doing so. Please, must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Corrado, next. Secure some price from the historic Wall Center.
This segment brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers. And right now, you need to go check out the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. The 2026s are available. This is, for all intents and purposes, just an electric vehicle because you get 72 kilometers of electric range every time you plug it in overnight. You wake up 72 kilometers later, you're probably tucked in bed already at that point. You're probably not getting there, picking the kids up from school, going to get groceries, all that sort of. If you do need it, though, it is there. That's the beauty. You can go on the road trip. There's room for all the suitcases, the golf bags, the hockey bags. The Prius can really do it all. Go take one for a test drive. You'll find all of that as well. The SEs available at $109 weekly at 3.99% APR for 64 months with $3,300 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca. Better yet, just go visit them.
We're joined now by former Vancouver Canuck TSN hockey analyst, Mr. Francesco Antonio Curado. How are you?
I'm good, boys. What's happening? How we doing?
Oh, my goodness. Blake tells me the scoring chances were 14-6 in the first period last night. But I'm not sure I've ever seen 20 minutes of NHL hockey where the defending was that poor. Like at one point, Ferraro says, Canucks have to stop these cross-seam passes. It's just too easy for San
Just
Jose
think
right
about
now.
14-6 is almost one per minute. Right, like
Fair enough.
You know, like that's
it's a high total, but honestly, I was prepared to see like numbers we had never seen before by those who track chances and high danger chances in the first period. It was that easy for San Jose as they built themselves a 3-1 lead. Frank, we talked about this last week because you went through a rebuild with Toronto. And, I got somebody in my comments, and good on them. They understood when I replied saying, I don't understand why people are surprised by this sort of thing. Like, they're in a rebuild, you expect them to lose. But there are red lines, right? Like, there are places where it's just unacceptable and somebody has to put a hammer down. No?
Well, you would like to see it happen in a dignified fashion, because ultimately there's going to be players here that are still a part of this moving forward. And so not everyone's going out the door, even though the team has, sort of backdoored themselves into a rebuild. So you do want to see some players say, I have some pride in my game. I'm willing to defend. And honestly, that's where like that, care factor really comes into play. It's about how you defend. Like, some players are really enthusiastic to score goals. Clearly this team has a hard time scoring goals. And guys feel more confident and better when they're being productive. But, it's a bit of a revealing season in the sense that, like, it sucks going to the rink every day, having to unpack that video and see what went wrong. And it's not one thing, it's a bunch of different things, but you can't get to all of them at one time. So you only have to, you only have the ability to pick and choose. There's not a lot of practice time. And then you got to go into every game knowing that as a team and as individuals, we're so unsure of ourselves, and it's leading to, catastrophic mistakes and goal after goal and seam pass after seam pass. And you're like, how do you wrap your head around what's going on? But I think it just, I think sometimes it's hard to find purpose in what you're doing with where the Canucks are at.
Basketball coaches, some soccer coaches as well, are apt to say, look, it doesn't take any talent to defend. All it takes is effort. Does it take talent to defend at the NHL level?
No, it takes strength. I always found that to be my biggest, thing that held me back, is that, individually, I guess for me, I wasn't that strong. Like, I wasn't strong enough to sometimes handle a big, powerful guy when he started turning on me in the corner, or I wasn't strong enough to handle, a 10, 15 second battle in front of the net. Sometimes I would end up like on my knees or on my ass or something. And I was like, I care. I want to do it. I'm just like built like a spaghetti noodle. And I just, there's only a certain limit to how hard I can battle these bigger guys. That was me personally, my experience. So I think, defending and caring, like, they kind of do go hand in hand, but if you're strong enough, you can do it. And you should be smart enough. Like, these guys are all NHL players. You're smart enough to know that chances are puck filters to the front of the net a lot, right? And chances are Macklin Celebrini, he's going to find pockets of ice near the front of the net. And same with, a guy like Adam Gauld who scores goals, right? Like, I don't know. Like, it all just kind of comes there. It's just, can you be strong enough when it gets there?
What about things like lateral agility, change of direction, acceleration? Like, I mean, foot speed is one thing, but if you're chasing down a guy, you've probably already lost. But like the short area bursts and quickness and stuff like that, do you need that in the NHL to defend as well, or can you compensate with positioning?
Well, you can compensate with positioning, but you have to know where you're supposed to be at the right times, right? Like, you don't have to be the most agile. You don't have to be the most fleet of foot. But when everyone's on the same page, the guys that are maybe a little more heavy booted, it doesn't look that way, because everyone's doing what they're supposed to do and they're doing the right actions. And when it's not that way, you get exposed because it feels like you're on an island having to defend a one-on-one situation. And really, like in the D zone, what it comes down to is, can you kill a play? It's hard to kill a play on your own, right? Like, you need help. That's why we always talk about, you need a second support player. You need guys available if you do dig out the puck, or else you're just kind of wasting it. You're wasting your effort. So yeah, you need foot speed, you need agility for sure. You also need a 5-man unit that can kill a play and break out the puck. Like, we're talking pretty elementary kind of big picture things at this point, which it's crazy because we weren't talking about that a couple of years ago. We were being pretty nitpicky, and now we're just really, really back to the meat and potatoes and the basics of just NHL hockey.
So that's the
where we
micro.
are.
That's the micro of what it feels like shift by shift for these players. On the macro, loss. Is there a point? Like, now, to be fair to the Canucks, the St. Louis Blues are coming hard. Like, they are losing like nobody's business right now.
And they haven't even started tearing down, Blake. Like,
No.
it's going to get worse from here for St. Louis.
So
There's still 8 points. There's still 8 points separating the two.
I know it's not enough. It's not enough, and yet
It's crazy.
the players have to endure it, though. I mean, it's got to. They know what the MO is. Probably. Do they intellectually know that management wants this? Do you think at this point?
How could you not?
Yeah.
I knew that management wanted it when I played in this situation. I'm no dummy. Like, listen, I tried my best because I realized for me, nothing was going to be guaranteed. Like, I kind of needed to show well to
Show your
earn a
best,
spot
yeah.
the following year, right? Like, that's sort of what I was playing for. And the wins, you know, it's nice to put on some music after a game every once in a while and don't, you know, not feel like it's a morgue every single day. It's, you know, it's crazy. It really weighs on you, man. And I guess like the big thing is you want guys at this point in the season to be able to find some kind of purpose with it. And I think for Vancouver, that's going to be the case after the deadline, right? Like, guys that can move on and be moved will, and then it turns into, all right, these are the guys that are getting opportunities and are hungry to show well. And then the other guys are like, listen, you're here because next year you're probably going to be here, and you need to be a part of kind of building this thing back up. So scrap whatever was going on pre-March, and now, like, let's screw it on straight and just play hard till the end of the season for yourselves, for the organization, for your teammates, whatever. But this time right now, like late January to the trade deadline, it's going to be a tough stretch for them because you don't have, until the trades happen, you don't have all these people finding that purpose just yet.
We want your thoughts on Demko being lost and where he goes from here. But the fact that he's not coming back to save the day and or keep it close, that Lankin is playing fine, but only fine. And Nikita Tolopilo not yet able to carry too much of a load. Lankin's being worked to the nub as well. Like, they have nobody to raise the floor, if you will, of how bad it can get anymore. And that's what a good goaltender can do. That's extra daunting for a team in this position, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing now, like, this is the kind of model they need to follow. You trade all the guys you can trade. If someone has a hangnail who's not like a young kid who's trying to make a name for themselves, you're done. You are IR, LTIR, like that. You know, you're not messing around with these kinds of things. Like, I remember I saw it happen. Little bit of a groin strain. Maybe that's a week to 2 weeks. In other years, it's 4 to 6 weeks. And guess what? Now you're checked out for the season. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's going to have to be a part of the program. But listen, as far as putting yourself in a position to finish last place in the NHL, they've been the best team at it for quite some time.
This is a master class.
Saying something. It is a master class
in losing. Not so much the rebuilding yet, because they still haven't made a ton of trades.
There will come a day where
No,
Patrick Alvin, Jim Rutherford, and Adam Foote stand in front of a theater and instruct this class at a fourth-year university level.
I guess there's a few people in Montreal. You guys know I'm there all the time calling games. I guess there's a few like French media members that know that I'm on with you guys. And like, for some reason, they've come up to me recently and said, that's the worst team I've seen in a long time in this league. Like, I'm not even joking. That's like French media coming up to me randomly, just saying that. So I don't know. You guys might be big in Quebec.
Which says a lot, because the San Jose Sharks for a couple of years were like 2 years ago. I thought the Sharks might lose 80 games.
Remember that Colorado team of a number of years ago? I mean, truly awful. In fact, Canucks keep losing.
Hey, you guys want to hear something? You want to hear something interesting? So I just looked back at the team that I was on when we finished in last place. Right, we traded James Reimer that year to San Jose. He had a .918 save percentage when we traded him.
It's too high. Yeah.
Right. And then so we kept Bernier, and Bernier was actually a .908 and Garrett Sparks was an 893. So Sparks played like 17 games basically in the second half of that season. I think it was him and Bernier almost like alternating at that point. Like for a last place team, both goalies like Reimer and Bernier to both be pretty much above 900 like that. Like it must have been pretty bad in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's a lot of shots. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on here.
Let's stay with the goaltending.
Go ahead.
Let's talk.
Go ahead.
Let's talk
Stay
with
the goaltending.
Let's talk Demko and your reaction to him being lost for the season, and how much confidence would you have if you're the Vancouver Canucks of him continuing on here?
It affirms all your fears about Thatcher Demco and his status moving forward as far as staying healthy. That's really what it does. And if you were thinking maybe you could trick a team into thinking this is the goaltender who's going to take them to the promised land, because he can be so good. Like when he's healthy and when he's on his game, he's incredibly clutch and he's one of the best in the league. But it feels like now that's not the conversation that we're having anymore. The conversation is, can he stay healthy for a prolonged period of time? And maybe, with the season that they're having, there really is no point in him playing through anything. So get whatever you need to get health-wise done, and it's not the end of the road. And you'll figure it out from there, hopefully, and hopefully that entails staying healthy. But it adds more to the buyer beware with Demko. And now if you want to attach a value to him, externally around the league, for however much time he's spent hurt here, he's going to have to spend a significant amount of time just being healthy. Like his game will be fine if he's healthy, but that's going to be the big thing that proves to people that it's worth giving up significant assets for. So it's unfortunate, but he's injury riddled and still is.
We've talked Evander Kane trade before, so let me bring a new name to the chat. Tyler Myers sort of opened the door a crevice last week to waiving his no-move clause when he talked about, he does understand at 35 years old there's only so much runway left, and he has thought about, the ability to get back to the Stanley Cup playoffs and chase a cup. Right shot defenseman or right shot defenseman? What does Tyler Myers do well? What are the red flags there, and what do you think he's worth to a playoff team?
You have to keep in mind that if he's going to a playoff team and a team that, has aspirations of winning, you're not asking too much from him. You're probably slotting him pretty perfectly because you have a good base of defensemen already. So he's going to be a complementary piece for your team. So you're not asking him for power play time. You're probably not asking him for massive matchups and huge minutes, but you probably are wanting him to kill penalties and use his reach and just be like a good version of Tyler Myers, where you're not asking for hero mode, right? Like something that's well within his grasp. Can he move the puck decently well? Sure. Can he defend? Sure. It's hard sort of making an evaluation on players on Vancouver this year because of how poorly the group has just played as a whole. Like it really drags down what individuals look like. But I think that's the big thing with Myers, is that it's a digestible cap hit for a team that will likely use him on a third pair penalty kill role. And he would probably do pretty well with that, especially given like a new lease on life and having a chance to win, depending on where the opportunity comes up.
Shane Wright is available in Seattle. Tell me what you think of this player. He's having a poor year, of that there is no doubt, but still quite young and still a lot of pedigree with as a right shot centerman. Tell me what's your forecast for him going forward, and how attracted would you be if you're the Canucks in a rebuild with a young centerman like this?
It would be worth taking I don't want to call it a flyer because the guy was a really high pick, but it would be worth at least seeing what it's going to cost to acquire a player like Shane Wright. I thought he really had a nice season last year. Like I thought that was going to be the starting point to him kind of learning the league and starting to lay down a foundation for what he's going to be in the league. He had some success on the power play, He had 7 power play goals last season. He was a plus player on a team that was not very good in a lot of different ways. And it felt like his confidence was growing. For me, Shane Wright has always been, it's never been about foot speed. It's never been about super elite playmaking ability or even a lethal shot. It's always been about like right up here. Like how smart are you and how do you think your way around the game? The problem is if you're not feeling it or it's not going well or you lose yourself a little bit, you don't have the elite feet or the super slick puck moving or the elite shot to really fall back on. So this is the motor that drives him. But I think he's a smart player, and for a lot of different reasons. Like he was in that weird COVID prospect development path where they weren't playing many games in the OHL, and then they didn't want to send him back, so they did the old, hey, we'll play you for a bit, do the conditioning stint, do the World Juniors. Like it was a real kind of curved road of development for him, and I think now we're kind of seeing the after effects of that. But he's going to have work to do as well. He hasn't been productive on the power play. His ice time has gone down. Like it's not like they haven't completely done him all foul. Like he's got to do some of it himself here. But I think he's worth at least taking a look to see what it's going to cost, especially if it's a flyer kind of deal.
Yeah, it's going to be higher price than you want.
Well, they're looking for a first-line winger.
And he's not a certified top six, right? Like I think he's got a high floor as being a third liner, but without being a certified top six, boy, the high price is hard to
But if he's
I think it's still a maybe. It's not a sure thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If he is a upper echelon 3C who can masquerade as a 2C if you have injuries to your top two guys, that's still a very valuable piece,
Sure
right?
it is, yep.
Particularly if he's close to being an all-situations player, like probably second power play unit, penalty killer, protecting the lead, and all that jazz. So, right shot centers with his pedigree and some of the athletic attributes he has, that's an attractive player, I think, for a team in the Canucks.
Well, especially for Vancouver. What do you have to lose if you're Vancouver?
That's it.
It's not like you have a ton of center depth. That's the kind of flyer that you need to take if you're them.
Centers, and more centers. Like that's one of the things that they need to be looking at here. And especially if their top draft pick is going to be one of these wingers, Blake. Like, we used to ask the question, where are the defensemen coming from? I think one of the questions going forward is, where are the centers coming from? Okay, last one from...
It's just a small detail, but like a right shot center playing with, whether it's McKenna or Stenberg, righty-lefty, he'll always look to the left side. I don't know. Maybe I overblow that, but it's something.
Yep. Last question from me here, Frank. And as you know, you do your utmost to avoid the phrase Toronto Maple Leafs on any kind of Vancouver sports talk presentation, but I'm breaking my rule today because if there's one thing that this market likes as much as Canucks wins, it's Leafs losses. And that's 5 in a row, and that's 7 of 8. And the head coach looks like he was in a wrestling match with a grizzly bear. And I have to ask the question, because I saw a lot of Leafs commentators saying this last night on Twitter. Are we going to see another team attempt to tank the rest of the way here? Like, are we going to have the two teams in the two largest English-speaking markets on tank jobs for the rest of the NHL season?
They should be. Have you watched them play?
No.
Like, there's nothing.
Categorically not.
There's nothing inspiring about the way they've played this season. They had a run of 8-0-2 where it was like they gave fans a little bit of hope that they could turn this thing around, and then they followed it up with a homestand where they went 0-4-1, and they got dummied over the last 3 games of that homestand. Like, barely touched the puck, not even in the game. So the answer for Toronto is they need to trade anyone they possibly can this year because they're not going anywhere. And I'm not talking about trading Matthews or Nylander. I'm talking about you have nothing in the cupboard other than Easton Cowan and Ben Danford. So what you need to do is try and accumulate something, picks, prospects, whatever you can do. So, here's guys that you can trade. Max Domi, Matthias Michelli, like Calle Yarncroke, Scott Lawton, Bobby McMahon is an absolute must trade this season. See if there's a team that finds value in Troy Stetcher. He's been really good since going there. Like Troy Stetcher's been the best story for Toronto all season
600
long.
NHL games. Attaboy, Troy from Richmond.
Good for him. Good. Like he has done incredibly well going over there. And what's funny? He was, when he got there, he made a comment that he was out of the fire in Edmonton. And now, poor Troy, Edmonton's playing gangbusters, and he goes to Toronto and the fire's burning like full steam ahead, unfortunately. And it's nothing to do with him. He's been really good since going there. But this is it for Toronto. Like, they call it whatever you want, but I don't think it's a full-fledged rebuild at this point. But they got to figure that they're going nowhere this year, and it's time to do what Boston did last year. Recognize where you're at and get ready for next year and try and see what you can accumulate along the way.
Yeah, and I think the Canucks are going to have some competition here in terms of the sellers going forward. It's not just going to be the basement teams. I think you're also going to have some teams starting to have very honest discussions about who they are and who they are not.
Hey,
prior to March
Nathan
6th.
McKinnon was a part of that Colorado team that you referenced earlier that had 48 points. They bounced down for that 1 year. Mm-hmm. They get a guy named Cale Makar.
Yep.
And the rest is history, right? So, if you just dip your toe down there, you can do what the Avalanche went from 112 points in 13-14 down to 48 and 16-17, back to 95 and 17-18. I mean, you can do this.
But we've been talking about the East being the East isn't so bunched anymore. Toronto and Philly are 8 points back of a playoff spot. Jersey is 9. Columbus and Ottawa are 10. So I think you're going to see more. That seller's market, I think, is finite here.
Now, I'll say two things on that. On the way out in Toronto. It's negligent if they do anything except sell off pieces at this point. Completely negligent. And they have to make a decision that they have to be really bad the rest of the year, because Boston owns their first-round pick, but it's top 5 protected. So if they mess around and they get the 6th pick, Boston's making that pick.
Wow.
That's right.
As well as Boston having Alex Steves and Fraser Minton, who are having great seasons. Like, Toronto better be really bad the rest of the way if they're going to do this thing.
Yep, and of course that would be the second time in recent memory where the Bruins are picking a top 10 with a Leafs pick. They got Tyler Seguin, right, with the Leafs pick from.
Well, for the Leafs to guarantee that, they need to be the 3rd worst team in the NHL.
Yep.
And then they are guaranteed top 5. So they have work to do.
Yeah, but Berube, especially with the condition he's in right now, would make a good tank commander. Looks the part.
Well,
yeah, he does.
Like you said, they have to be the 3rd worst team. There's games that they've played where they've been the 3rd best team in the game. So I think that's well within their grasp.
Hey, you buddy.
Beauty.
You,
Thank
boys.
you, Frank. So Carson Price from the historic Wall Center, and this next spot brought to you by Hurley and Levelwear. Golf, having a moment right now, not just the traditional sense, used to feel buttoned up, but has become way more cultural. You're seeing athletes from other sports, even surfers, using it as a way to hang out, just enjoy the game differently, and that shift is exactly where Hurley's collaboration with Levelwear comes in. Hurley brings that laid-back board sports energy, and this collection pulls inspiration from Hawaiian and coastal prints, relaxed, expressive, rooted in lifestyle. Levelwear takes that inspiration, brings it to life through performance-driven, sustainably made apparel that's actually built to move and play. The result, the Fairwaves collection. Modern golf silhouettes that feel lighter, more wearable, less rigid. It's respectful of the game's roots, but definitely not stuck in tradition. This collection is live and available on Levelwear's website. Go to levelwear.com. Check out the polos, hoodies, hats, and casuals. That's levelwear.com.
You're going to be covered in pineapples all season long on the golf
Love
course,
it.
aren't you? I can see it.
Rob Williams is the national sports editor of the Daily Hive and its Offside Sports Vertical. Rob, the hockey guy on Twitter. He's also the luckiest guy in Vancouver because he has spent the last month in Australia avoiding Canucks games, and he'll avoid more as he makes his way to Milan for the Olympics.
Oh, darn it. Did the
next
times of the
week.
games just not line up? I just couldn't find a way to watch them.
From Melbourne to Milan. I'm having a great start to 2026.
To say the least, Rob.
Folks,
My
can
God.
you hear the lightness in his voice? Can you this is a man that has not been scarred like the rest of us.
He used to be just a coastal elite. Now he is a global elite. Rob Williams. We're lucky to have you.
I'm back, refreshed.
For a
Me and
week.
Teddy Beluga got a jump in our step, and nobody else, I think. It's it was a wonderful time in Australia. I've got family and friends down there. Got to check out the Aussie Open a few times as well. Saw Novak Djokovic play, so it was pretty cool. I seem to be the bad luck charm though for Canadians. Every time I saw a Canadian, they were out. Leila Fernandez ousted under my watch. But still,
Basketball Phil told me Williams is the cooler for all the Canadian players.
Tell us
down
what the
under.
Aussie Open feels like from a festival sort of like. Does it feel like you're at like a mini Olympics? Does it feel big?
Because the Aussies can party.
Oh, yeah. They love it. Yeah. And they were setting attendance records, big long lines to get in, into the grounds. You can buy just a grounds pass and check out like little matches here and there. So like you can just, I was just sort of walking around and it's like, tiny little stands to watch Vicky and Boko play doubles, first round doubles, that sort of thing, which is really cool. So you can do that without, that doesn't get you into center court to see the big names or anything. Yeah. But cool. There's just like areas to like little loungers. A lot of people just go and hang out and they might just be watching the big matches on television from a park. And there's all sorts of activations, music, all sorts of things. Like people. Tennis is massive in Australia.
Oh yeah, of course,
it is huge. Yeah.
Did you make it to the MCG?
I've been to the MCG before, but did not check it out this time. No.
One of the great amphitheaters in global sport, the Melbourne Cricket Ground. It is on my bucket list to go see him. It's like 90,000 people, Blake, and they fill it for everything: cricket, Aussie rule, all of it. Such a great sporting culture down there.
Australia, I think, is the craziest sports country. Like pound for pound, like in the Olympics. Pound for pound, I don't know if anybody does as well as they do. They're now winning Winter Olympic medals now too, which is just crazy. And within Australia, Melbourne is the most sports crazy city.
Yeah.
Well, they've got great facilities in Whistler now. The Australian Olympic team,
they're expanding.
Yeah. Fabulous Whistler facilities.
They've been developing right under our watch.
Yeah, that's right. They've been infiltrating, subversive from within. Were you here for the Hughes trade, or you'd already left?
I was here for the Hughes trade. Yeah, okay. I left Christmas. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you make of the Sherwood trade?
I thought it was great. I mean, I thought I never believed they would be able to get a first round pick for Kiefer Sherwood. Despite I know his contract, I know his goal totals, and the way he plays. Like, how could you not love the way he plays? But I think that most teams would probably view him as a third liner on their team and be like a great third liner, like the best type of player to add to your team for the playoffs. But a first round pick I thought was a little too far. And you end up getting 2 second round picks, and you get it from not like, team that's in the battle for first overall in the league. You get it from the San Jose Sharks, who, as we discovered last night, are a lot better than the Vancouver Canucks, but they might miss the playoffs. Like that's still possible. So you're probably getting, a mid-round pick in the second round, and you get 2 of them. I think that's pretty good value for Kiefer Sherwood. And I think I probably echoed the thoughts of a lot of fans, like, okay, that's one, like keep her coming, right? Like you need to have lots and lots of picks, because those, it's entirely possible that those 2 picks both turn into duds, right? But the key is get enough picks that someone's surely going to pan out. and you can start building from there. We need an army, right?
Right. You've been at the last couple of Canucks games in the stands at Rogers Arena and have some observations. Pray tell.
Yeah. So, I mean, while I was away, I obviously keeping tabs on the Canucks while I'm away. And one of the things I'd heard was like that fans were not really angry. They're just sort of like just being supportive of the team and everything. So you guys know I'm an investigative reporter, so I had to get into the seats, discover this for myself. So I was at the Pittsburgh game, at the San Jose game. That's absolutely the case from where I was sitting. Like, I think I heard one angry fan like once or twice in my section in one of the games. That was about it. Otherwise, very supportive crowd. They come on the ice, everyone claps, cheers, they score. They, even when they get down in games, like there's not like people like yelling, like trade Pettersson or, things that you might hear in the past. Certainly no danger of a jersey being tossed on the ice. There's no sense of anger in the crowd. I almost liken it, and this is no disrespect to the Vancouver Canadians, but I liken it almost to like a crowd at Nat Bailey in the summer where you just hear like people kind of just having a little chat.
Results be damned. Yeah,
like nobody's showing up expecting them to win, and they're just sort of just coming out and like, I don't know, what else are you going to do on a Tuesday night? People come out. I mean, you probably have the Sidney Crosby and Macklin Celebrini effects for both games. There weren't a lot of empty seats. People are just sort of showing up, and I didn't sense much anger at all from the fan base. So I've resigned to this is the acceptance phase, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. Is when they started uttering the word rebuild, and then started actions on the word rebuild with the Sherwood trade. But the Hughes trade before that, they relieved all the pressure. It's like popping. It's like popping a lump or a boil or something, and then all of a sudden, all the pus comes out.
Very
right?
nice. Thank you for that.
For that visual. So they've relieved the pressure, and Rob's absolutely right on the attendance. 18,964 last night. They're still top 5 in the NHL in attendance. I know you have some thoughts about where attendance goes from here, or at least questions about where attendance goes from here, Rob, based on, it's a long road ahead.
The difference, of course, between the two, though, Nat Bailey and Rogers, is you're spending still hundreds of dollars to maybe see 2 goals in a game versus spending tens of dollars to see a lot more in a baseball game.
Oh, in terms of a value play, there is no comparison.
There's no value
between the Vancouver Canadians, the BC Lions, the Vancouver Whitecaps, and the Canucks.
Talk about the attendance, Rob, but also within the bounds of that, I was wondering aloud on Twitter yesterday, like, is anybody showing up in that President's Club section? Like, it's one thing for the hockey fans to show up, but for the Richie Riches, are they still showing up in that section? I mean, they've already paid for it, I guess, but are those guys showing up to spend 2.5 hours at the arena?
Yeah, I saw your tweet last night, Blake, and I was thinking about that because you can't really miss it, right? Because it's like they're always late to their seats in that section, right? It's kind of like Toronto.
Last night there was a block.
Right at the start of the
well, they have a fancy area downtown or downstairs, so they. But
there was a block of 20 seats last night that was wide open, like right behind the bench.
But those seats, I think, have always been those seats aren't. They were having trouble selling them from the jump because they overpriced them, and they have the downstairs area where they linger. So the question is, and of course, people who can afford those seats, Blake, they're at a level financially where they can afford to eat them and not go.
Right, but it's in such a prominent camera location that you just see the empty bank of seats. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. No, for me, it's like you can never tell if they're just, eating caviar and sipping wine, behind the seats there or not. But yeah, I remember when it first started, and that's also an area where they would often have, celebrity appearances. When Wayne Gretzky was at the game, he was sitting in that area. So that leads me to believe, okay, well, they have extra seats to give away here. I don't have any insight into how those are selling. I can't imagine that there's a big lineup of people wanting to buy them, but that's a certain. I'm going from Melbourne to Milan, but I don't
You don't go in those circles.
circles. Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. We've talked about it. This is one of the wealthiest communities in North America. A lot of disposable income. They don't sweat value like a layperson would. The other thing that's happening, especially on the secondary market, and Rob, I'm not sure if you were here and caught it. Was that student section going for $49 at a recent game? The secondary market has very affordable tickets. And so you have people who otherwise couldn't afford to go to hockey games who are going, wow, I mean, I can't, and afford them at face value. But when I'm getting 2 tickets for $160 in the lower bowl, 80 a pop, that is something I can justify in my family budget.
Yeah, I mean, and that's certainly part of it. And I always sort of view the attendance figures through that lens, that it's times have changed, the technology has changed. There's different ways to fill seats. At variable pricing, in the student section, or the student rush pricing is part of that. But yeah, that's kind of the canary in the coal mine in terms of what are people going to be willing to pay going forward. I had a look. Tomorrow's game, $61 will get you in on the secondary market, but they're not. If you look at Calgary, the cheapest ticket to get into Calgary versus Dallas, the first game after the Olympic break, $37, and it's not alone $37. There's lots in that kind of $40 range to see the Flames at the Saddledome. So it is people are still willing to pay more in Vancouver, but it's not to the levels that we saw going into the season. Going into the season, you couldn't get a ticket for under $100 at face value. For single game buyers. So, I mean, that really, I'm really curious to know, mid-February last year was when the Canucks sent out, I guess, renewals to season ticket members. And it's when we first started hearing, oh my God, they've jacked up the prices for a second straight year. So what are they going to do for next year? I can't imagine. They've had a terrible, terrible season. But I can't imagine that they're going to lower prices. Are they going to offer incentives? Are they going to just take the fans for granted and just expect that they'll come back at the same price? I don't know, but I mean, the thing that's just sort of mind blowing, guys, is remember the home record was a storyline last year. They were really terrible at home last year. You look at their record last year. They were, at NHL, relatively at NHL 500 last year. This right now, they have a .260 points percentage at home. That is the worst in franchise history by a country mile. The worst home points percentage they've ever had prior to this season was a 400 points percentage. And that came in the 70s. And also keep in mind, your ability to get points is so much higher now because you get a point for losing in overtime. You get a point for losing in a shootout. Points generally go up and up and up and up and up. And it's really hard to kind of beat those woeful percentages of the past, particularly for a franchise like Vancouver, which was terrible in the 70s and even worse in the mid 80s. So it's kind of unbelievable that fans are just okay with things. But what are they? They're okay with things now, but what are they going to actually decide to have leave their wallet going into next year?
We ridiculed them last year. We ridiculed them last year at 17, 16, and 8. They were above NHL 500. And this year, 5 wins, well past the halfway mark. They're going to be hard pressed to get to 10.
If you double
5 in 25 games, guys, it's unbelievable. I missed one home win while I was in Australia, and I was gone for a
month.
while.
Yeah. No, you can take the losses beyond regulation and the wins, put them together, and you still have twice as many regulation losses as you have results where the fans either win or get the quote-unquote thrill of overtime shootout. And just the one thing we should, there are some really terrible seats at the Saddle Dome. Like the upper reaches of the Saddle Dome would have to be amongst the worst seats in hockey. Are they obstructed views? I believe you got some cut-off views up there. So should add that as by way of context for why the Flames are so cheap. Robert, great to have you back. Great to have you away from those Canadian players at the Aussie Open, if any are still involved in doubles and mixed doubles. We'll look forward to talking to you next week before you head off to Milan.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks.
So here's some price from the historic Wall Center and the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio, built by Arbor Lee. Cheer harder when you're well rested. Sheraton Vancouver Wall Center puts you minutes from the arena, miles ahead the next morning. Lock in your game day stay at wallcenter.com. Big news from the BC Lions then, where Nathan Rourke has extended his contract through the 2028 season. His 2026 terms were not affected in the least, our friend Farhan Lalji tells me. So not a restructuring, just a pure extension.
Mm-hmm.
When the league MOP, most outstanding Canadian player, passed for 5,290 yards, that shattered Russ Jackson's single-season Canadian record that had stood since 1969. That's even before Blake was born. GM Ryan Rigmaiden.
Well before.
GM Ryan Rigmaiden, quote, "We wanted to be proactive by getting this done, not only for the club, but for our fan base. Extending him through 2028 puts us in the best possible position to win and sends the right message to his teammates, the league, and BC Lions fans everywhere."
Were you at all worried 2 seasons ago when he had come back and was meh? Were you at all worried?
A little. Yep.
Yeah,
a little.
I was mildly worried too.
Yep. But he got it back.
Boy, did
That's
he
the
ever.
input. Did he ever? Big news. That's big news in the CFL. But even bigger news in the National Football League and the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, where an explosive ESPN story yesterday from Don Van Natta Jr. and Seth Wickersham, their investigative reporters, and these guys are really good. Wickersham is the guy who had all that Seahawks drama with Russell Wilson and the defense hating him years ago. 12s didn't want to hear it, told him he was out to lunch. He was spot freaking on, as it turns out. Bill Belichick will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed to secure induction in this, his first year of eligibility. The resume is undeniable. If any coach should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, it's the Hoodies. I mean, you see the records there. 26 wins shy of Don Shula for the all-time coaching victories mark, but just about first in everything else. Suspicion surrounds former Indianapolis executive Bill Polian, a Belichick rival from the days of the Patriots and Colts vying for AFC supremacy. ESPN reported Polian spoke to the room of 50 selectors and argued Belichick should have to wait a year as punishment for Spygate. Now, the 83-year-old Polian denied those claims but gave conflicting answers on whether he voted for Belichick. Sports Illustrated reached him first, Matt Verderame, who says, "I spoke on the phone with Bill Polian and asked whether he was an influence on Bill Belichick being snubbed by the Hall of Fame. His quote, that's totally and categorically untrue. I voted for him." Later, he spoke with Don Van Natta of ESPN, who broke the story, said he couldn't remember with 100% certainty if he voted for Belichick. He said he heard voters float the idea of Spygate penance, but he didn't table it. He did say he voted for Patriots owner Robert Kraft, more on him in a second, and that Belichick deserves to be in. I respect Bill Polian mightily. Until yesterday, considered him one of the grand gentlemen of the game. I met him. He's a former Alouettes executive, of course, was there in the 70s when Marv Levy was the coach and Wally Buono was playing middle linebacker. We used to have him on Grey Cup radio all the time. He's got a love for Canadian football, and it was an excellent executive with the Colts, Bills, and Panthers. But I have trouble with his comments last night. Why the conflicting answers? Does he genuinely not remember? Remember, he's 83.
This is an event that happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Did he have a crisis of conscience after originally denying the accusation?
Yeah.
And if he can't remember who he voted for just 2 weeks ago, does he belong on the committee at age 83?
That's all valid. Now, I will say this. This can't rise to the level of extreme scandal because I think that the most likely scenario is that whether it is from the mouth of Bill Polian or somebody else, there was a bunch of people that thought what is being supposed here, which is he shouldn't get in for the first time because of X, Y, and Z. But he's getting in. He'll get in next year, Matt. Of that, there is no doubt. So I have trouble with this rising to the level of extreme 5-alarm scandal because it's just this is not a
exclusion. It's postponed.
This is not a Pete Rose debate here.
Yeah.
Like he's getting in next, and he's not even getting in someday.
It's not a bonds.
He's getting in next year.
At the expense of another coach, because only one coach can proceed to the final ballot. And more on the ramifications here in a second. Of course, there is nobody who reveres NFL history or is a greater student of it than Bill Belichick. When the NFL Network was putting together its top 100 players of all time, they brought Bill Belichick in as a panelist. And you're thinking, the hoodie as a television talking head? He was outstanding, extraordinary. He was in his element. He was light. He was laughing. He was educational, teaching. It was, for me, one of his finest hours publicly. So you know how much this would mean to him. Now, how did this happen? Because it's possible this wasn't simply spite, bias, or punishment. Good thread from Mike Sando has been covering the Seahawks for a long time and isn't a Hall of Fame voter on how 11 of 50 voters could have left him off the ballot. Now, the candidates were Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, Roger Craig, the former 49ers running back, Ken Anderson, the former NFL MVP, Cincinnati Bengals quarterback, and L.C. Greenwood, the Steel Curtain defensive end from the Steelers in the 70s. They're competing for 1 to 3 spots. You can vote for as many as 3. And these are separate, of course, from the 15 modern era finalists, the players where they knock the door and bring them up on stage. So between 1 and 3 make it, you need 40 votes to get in. So as Sando writes, it's a zero-sum game. Huge change made in 2025. 250 total votes to go around for 5 candidates with a high bar for clearance. Now, Sando says if you count the ways Belichick might get fewer than 40 votes, let's say 4 to 5 voters who were strong advocates for specific senior players figured Belichick was going to make it regardless, so they funneled their votes to competing candidates in hopes of boosting them over the 40-vote threshold. Strategic voting.
Yep.
I sit on 2 Hall of Fame selection committees. It happens. Sando continues. Let's say a few voters prioritize the senior players, thinking Belichick will be back in the room next year. While the players on the ballot may disappear. You may not see Roger Craig, Ken Anderson, and L.C. Greenwood again on the ballot. Let's say a few voters found Spygate or cheating disqualifying. Let's say a few voters protested the new rules of making coaches eligible 1 year after retiring instead of 5. Then our girl, Shireen Williams, former Harrison Price NFL insider. People also don't understand the process. It's not a yes or no vote. You vote for 3 of 5 candidates. I guarantee some believe players are more important than coaches and will always vote for the senior players instead of any coach or contributor, even Belichick, which leads to a process question. Why do you have owners, coaches, and players in the same pool?
No. And we know, of course, that things like the Hockey Hall of Fame do not have those competing interests.
Right. Now, the other thing that's happened is recently some players grumbled, Deion Sanders publicly, that there's kind of some very good players getting in now, not great. So let's change the criteria and make it more difficult to get in. And then coaches being eligible 1 year after retirement. Blake, Mike Tomlin could theoretically be part of the class of 2027 and go on and coach for 15, 20 more years somewhere else. It's preposterous.
It is preposterous, but what's the reason they put that rule in, Matt? They don't want posthumous elections.
They're worried
And-
about older coaches dying and not being able to
being there.
celebrate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could put an age category there. The guys over the age of 65 immediately are the 1 years.
Yep. Whereas younger, you have to wait 5.
If you retire at the age of
Right.
57, then you're going to have to wait.
Now, this gaffe has so tarnished the committee that members want daylight as a means of absolving themselves from the result. This is John McLean in Houston, who's been covering the NFL for a half century, who says, make the votes public at this point. You have selection committee members who are revealing their vote on social media as a way of saying, hey, don't come after me.
Now,
It's also leading to claims that they should change the process, make it more like baseball. Here's a quote from a writer who voted in the Baseball Hall of Fame at one point. Mike, do we have the Graziano tweet here?
I'm just trying to grab that one.
Oh,
That's
okay.
showing up.
But you may see if you follow the Not Mr. Tibbs account, which tracks Baseball Hall of Fame voting, it's a piece of paper. It's every name. You can vote for up to 10 people. Submit your ballot. And many baseball voters have taken a photo of the completed ballot and making it public. And as Graziano points out, it's the 75% threshold there. But there's no secret meetings. NFL Hall of Fame candidates have presenters who present to the table and make the case. And what Graziano's point is you get pressured to vote in a certain way. You get these cliques that form, that politics enter the process when it's not you individually at home with a ballot.
but I think you can make the argument that when votes are made public, there's pressure to vote in a certain way because you might be too
That is also
embarrassed
true.
to vote with your conviction
That is also
lest
true.
you face the blowback.
That is also true.
You might absolutely believe player X should get in, but I'm going to get so much blowback if I don't vote for that guy.
And you
I'm gonna
can
vote for
keep your ballot secret in baseball, but again, they have decided as a group, and for me, rightfully, as somebody on the media side of things,
Yeah.
you ask for transparency and daylight for the people you cover. You should practice it yourself. Now, 2 conspiracy theories here, Blake.
Mm-hmm.
The anti-Patriots bias. You look at some of the other great dynasties of National Football League history, the Steelers, 49ers, Cowboys, multiple Hall of Famers, right? 10, 6. Yet New England. No Belichick, no Adam Vinatieri, 2 Super Bowl winning kicks, arguably the greatest kicker of all time, no Rodney Harrison. Now, you and I had the argument before, who's the second greatest Patriot after Brady? Some would say Gronkowski. I think he's going to get in. Some would say Richard Seymour. He's been put in. Ty Law, he's been put
Edelman.
in as well. The receivers certainly were had great profile. Now, it's a very high bar at receiver because some of those numbers have gone crazy high and because there's been a retrospective on receivers who didn't play in the passing era and a desire to get some of those guys in. With Rodney Harrison, it's interesting because there's been an emphasis on getting safeties in, and yet still he waits. Although, if you ask me, he wasn't as good as Kenny Easley, the ex-Seahawk, who gets in this year. Then the second theory, and this one is more devious. It's by Robert Kraft's design. If you're not familiar, Don Van Natta, one of the ESPN reporters who did this story on the Belichick vote falling short, did a story last year about how Robert Kraft has had a ongoing campaign in the back channels to influence members of the selection committee. That basically Robert Kraft has broken with the tradition of you just stand back silently and wait to hear yay or nay, has gone out and actually
Campaign.
lobbied for it, in some cases shamelessly. Because with Belichick falling short, we know at least one, if not 3, of the 4 individuals, Roger Craig, Elsie Greenwood, Ken Anderson, and Robert Kraft, are getting in. So as Sid Cicero points out, the Belichick snub makes sense. Kraft and Belichick had a falling out. Kraft, one of the most powerful guys in the league, didn't want to share the stage with Belichick, had the votes to keep him out. I mean, that is quite diabolical. But honestly, Blake, with Robert Kraft, I would love to say I think he's above that. I'm not sure he is.
No, he's not.
He is a petty, grandstanding, loves the spotlight, and wants this as his, last and final act, right? He's an old man and put me in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and my life's complete. His team's back in the Super Bowl. So one Seahawk fan say last night, 11 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl. All I heard about was Deflategate. They're back in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. All I'm hearing about is Spygate.
It's a fun story, but it's only that.
Well, not if you're Belichick or somebody who believes in meritocracy. It's not a fun story.
Again,
it's
he
a
gets
shamble.
in next year.
He will get in next year.
I have trouble getting upset about it, but there is a
but
better way.
This year's class is overshadowed regardless now, Blake. Can you acknowledge that?
Yeah.
And that is unfair to the people who will be elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, because 2026 will always be, that was the year that they spitefully kept Belichick out.
Maybe the better way to do these sorts of things is put more names on the ballot, allow people to vote for more names, but rank them. So people would have had to have voted for Belichick, but you just rank them in points. So it's a points thing, and you'll just collect points to get over a threshold. Yeah. There's more than one way to do this, and Hall of Fames do differ in how they do this. And maybe there's a better way to perfect it.
There is already, as you say, support for changing the process, having selectors disclose their vote, as well as changes to the composition of the committee, where there are currently media representatives from all 32 NFL markets. There are then media at-large voters. Shereen Williams is a media at-large voter.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 former players on the committee, Dan Fouts and James Lofton. There's 1 former coach, Tony Dungy, although he played as well, and then the 1 executive, Polian. And I see a lot of people who are screaming about, the media, because he was mean to them, kept him out. Fair enough. If that's the case, they absolutely should be removed. You're supposed to be objective, dispassionate. But there will be a lot of media members who didn't vote for him, Blake. And I would like to hear their explanation. But, of course, that ignores the fact that if this Polian report is true, then it was one of the most qualified people in the room, somebody who was in the arena and had an axe to grind, who ultimately got him kept out. Right?
Yep.
Anyways, as Doug Gottlieb, the talk show host, basketball coach, put it, we live in a world where Bill Belichick isn't in the Hall of Fame and Shedeur Sanders is in the Pro Bowl. Named an injury replacement yesterday, the AFC was running out of quarterbacks, so they went with the part-time starter in Cleveland, who was terrible.
But who will play the game of the Pro Bowl, which is not a game, which is activities. It's more like the Battle of the Network Stars for those of you of a certain age.
Yeah.
And that is made for maybe primetime.
Honestly, Blake, I would prefer they get these guys together on a golf course and show me that, or in a bowling alley and show me that.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl is embarrassing.
It really is. It's like even the flag version is
exercise. Yeah.
Another head coach hiring, Todd Monken, former Ravens offensive coordinator, is the new coach in Cleveland. He's been in the NFL 11 years. He hasn't been a head coach other than a collegiate stint at Southern Mississippi from 2013 to 2015. Only Arizona and the Las Vegas Raiders jobs remain open.
Pick your poison.
There you go. Hey, in both places, the weather is lovely. Must be said.
Yeah, 32 jobs, so you're happy to take them.
Also, big news from Vancouver Whitecaps FC, although not great news in the least. Their captain, Ryan Gauld, underwent a successful arthroscopic debridement. Mm-hmm. It's a surgery on his left knee in Innsbruck, Austria. He's expected to make a full return by April. He played just 11 games last year, and you're sitting here wondering what took so long.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can understand how this played out. A, he wouldn't have done it in the fall because he was good enough to play a few minutes per game,
Right.
and he wanted to be a part of the
Why
run.
didn't it happen December 8th or 9th, right after MLS?
And my guess is that he hoped upon all hopes. Okay, I'll give it 4 weeks off, and I'll be all good as new. And as he ramped up his training in the beginning of January, he probably went, "Oh shit, it feels the exact same way."
Right.
And this was my fear going into the. I said this to you how many times?
Yeah, a lot.
Like, if 6 months off wasn't going to make this knee better, like another 5 weeks wasn't going to change it.
Yeah.
And so I can understand how it played out. It's too bad it didn't happen earlier. Luckily, they are very deep, and I don't think they're going to be underwater by April.
I don't think so either.
And this was just arthroscopic, so this is a scope. It's
Right.
it's tickety boo. It's not open heart here, so he'll be okay. But
Yeah. So opportunity on the wing and at attacking midfield behind Thomas Mueller. Looking at you, Kenji Cabrera, newcomer Bruno Caicedo, Emmanuel Sabi, and then JC Ngando and BC's Liam McKenzie at that attacking midfield spot behind Mueller.
But this new guy, too, is a new guy.
And
He also plays that role.
There's news at those positions. There's an addition at that position, or one of those positions. There are reports out of Poland that the Caps have made an offer to a Polish side for a 24-year-old attacking midfielder, Aziel Jackson.
Aziel Jackson, yes.
Aziel Jackson.
AZ, as they call him. Yes.
AZ Jackson, an American who is said to want to return to MLS. He has played with Columbus, St. Louis, and Minnesota. You know him a little bit.
Yep, a nice player, speedy. In MLS, he played 68 games in Major League Soccer. He's got 5 goals and 10 assists. So if you break that up, and that's 2 seasons worth. If he had 2 goals and 5 assists, 3 goals and 5 assists, you'd think, oh, that's a good support attacking midfielder. So, and he's only 24. Like he's got the potential to be even better than he's been. So
the deal for center back Jodrek Kippa has fallen apart, but it's still likely he is going to be loaned by the Caps.
He made it fall apart. He was headed towards second division Belgian soccer, and the report is that he's now been offered a spot in the top Belgian league for the second place team. And so he pulled the plug and basically said, "That looks better. I would rather do that." Yep. And so it sounds like he's just going to greener pastures in Belgium, but it sounds like it'll still happen.
And the Caps have released their broadcast schedule on TSN for 2026, 14 games out of 34 MLS games on the network, including the February 21st MLS opener versus Real Salt Lake here at BC Place. You'll get to see both matches against the Cascadia rival Portland Timbers, as well as both matches against playoff rival LAFC. 8 of the 14 games are from August 1st onwards. Now, sadly, none of the games against Canadian competition is on TV because we both thought this a little weird, but look, 15 and 15, somebody has to play out of conference on decision day, and this year it's Vancouver Whitecaps FC who play their Canadian rivals, CF Montreal, on decision day, November 7th. I mean, I guess the good news there is it should be an automatic win on decision day because CF Montreal is not very good.
Not very good at all.
And, of course, well, you can watch these games on TSN. You can watch every game on Apple television.
And no MLS season pass this year.
You don't need a specific subscription this year. If you were an Apple TV subscriber,
you're in.
You get to watch and listen to this fella and Paul Dolan, and hopefully they're on the call for a lot of Whitecaps matches.
I can tell you that we are on the call for the majority of the first 2 months
of Whitecaps matches.
Yeah.
And tell me I'm wrong. You get an Apple TV, like if you buy an iPhone and you buy a Apple computer, like does that come included?
I forget. It's been a long time since I bought one.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes, Mike? Okay.
Yeah, sometimes.
But if you've watched Ted Lasso, Severance, Shrinking, all on Apple TV, then you're good to go. Your Shrinking starts today.
Is it Apple or Disney? I can't forget now. I saw the Springsteen movie the other day.
That's Disney. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Disney. Yeah. I started it. I've watched
Your
11 seconds of it.
Your
I got
boy
distracted.
does. Blake's not a huge Springsteen guy. Like recognizes his genius, but doesn't quite love his music.
Yeah.
Your boy there, the actor, does an incredible job. Like that should be Academy Award worthy performance. He is perfect as Bruce.
Yeah. Alan White.
This is the guy from the
From the Bear. Yeah.
the Chicago restaurant.
Yeah.
I really should watch that because
I think you'd like it.
I like restaurants and food. I like Chicago, and I like the Bears.
There's good Chicago accents in it. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, here's what I will say about the Springsteen film as we get off topic, but I guess I was going in thinking it was a biopic of his life. I didn't realize that it covered only a specific period of his career. Oh, I also liked the guy from Succession as John Landau, his manager. Sad face. He was the son, the eldest son in the Succession.
Oh, yes.
Whatever his name is. Another actor. Very good. He was excellent. But, Blake, I can't say I like the film.
It only got 67% on Rotten
Blake,
Tomatoes, I think.
First of all, there wasn't enough music.
No.
Like, you have fucking Springsteen's catalog available to you, or even just the songs in that period.
That's why Chalamet's Dylan was better. Like
way better. And here's the other thing.
Way more nostalgic.
You made a film about Springsteen on the heels of A Complete Unknown about Dylan, and you managed to make your film and Springsteen more brooding than Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan is a first ballot Hall of Famer in brooding. Not even the Belichick haters could keep him out. This film, like, I didn't know Bruce struggled with mental health and sought advice and counseling and all that. So there was a little bit of learning and discovery there. I'm not the biggest Springsteen fan, although I quite love his music. I just couldn't believe how sort of just down in the dumps mopey the film was.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get something like a Springsteen show.
The production
right?
of this was still going when Complete Unknown was going, but you would have thought they would have maybe gone back into the room with a few edits to make it.
Oh, guys.
To try to copy the tone of it, like a little bit.
Because Complete Unknown was quite good.
It was
Chalamet was extraordinary.
I've now watched it a few times. I
saw it in theaters, and I watched it the other day as well on TV.
Yeah, it's fun.
We have flag bearers for Milano Cortina, Canada, including North Vancouver's Marielle Thompson, who will join with Mikhail Kingsbury. Both athletes competing in their fourth Olympics. Kingsbury is the 2018 Olympic champion in moguls. Thompson, the 24 Olympic champion in ski cross. She also won a silver in Beijing. She had knee surgery that compromised her 2018 games in Pyeongchang. Kingsbury, if you don't know the name, he is the GOAT of moguls. No one has ever done it better. A Quebecer should win gold here, another gold in Italy. And then lastly, the semi-stage is set down under at the Aussie Open. The top four male seeds all made it to the semis. So you have some very fetching matchups here. Carlos Alcaraz versus Alexander Sasha Zverev, and Jannik Sinner versus Novak Djokovic. On the ladies' side, the number one seed, two-time defending reigning champion Irina Sabalenka. Sorry, she's won twice. Plays Ukraine's Elena Svitolina in her fourth Grand Slam semi, and I think, given what's going on with the Ukraine,
do you think that's a little
you'll have
loaded?
A lot of people behind Svitolina.
People don't like Sabalenka anyhow.
That's right.
It's going to be something.
The
else.
other side, Jessica Pegula, the 31-year-old daughter of Bills and Sabres owner Terry Pegula, makes the semis. She is quite a late bloomer in ladies tennis. She made a French Open final a couple of years ago. This is her second Grand Slam semi, and she was awesome last night in dispatching a fellow American.
And Pegula's taking on
who? What's her name? Riab.
You set up the semis, but didn't give us that.
Well, sorry.
Pegula versus. She just beat Anisimova, so she's Rybakina.
Yes.
Elena Rybakina.
There you go. From
from Kazakhstan.
Right.
So on the women's side, boy, former and current Soviet republics are carrying the day there.
Poll question results from
And
yesterday.
an American, which these days also.
The Aussie Open semis, big on rogue states.
Yeah, exactly.
And Zverev's German, just so you know, but once upon a time, Serbia wasn't in the good graces of the global community. Okay, poll question results. Does Thatcher Demco play another game for the Canucks? The options here were yes, no, or I don't know. And the winner is?
The winner is no.
No, the winner is yes, 50%. 31% said no, 20% said don't know. I rounded up because people are going to say, you got to 101%. People like calling and planning in your key.
Oh, my gosh. They're too much.
Oh, and I may have to add add a third member here to the fastidious, the three wise fastidious men, Hassan and Burnaby, who says to me, Matt, you said Sunday's game in Pittsburgh as opposed to versus Pittsburgh.
Holy cow.
Fair enough, Hassan.
Holy cow.
Fair enough. Jacob says this is a pretty easy yes, not getting traded before he can string together a healthy stretch and no indication he's contemplating retirement. Ghost says no because they're going to terminate his contract. It's very, very hard to do, Ghost. With injured players, it's almost impossible to terminate the contract. I've seen a little bit of this with Canucks fans on Twitter. It's going to be damn near impossible to get out of the contract unless they can prove that he did things to acquire this injury that were outside the bounds of the standard player contract. And K-Town says, don't care anymore. This whole thing is a recurring nightmare. Enough. And I hear you.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's been a lot.
It's a lot, but understand it's more for Thatcher Demco. Like, hasn't always been my favorite guy. When the tally lights are off, you should hear some of the stories about Demko these days from those who are down at Rogers Arena. But
he's a lot.
No athlete deserves this.
No, you want him to have a career, and he's not
That's
really
right.
been able to have that.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time and connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to our assorted channels, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on social, X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, live on many of those platforms, noon Pacific time weekdays. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about. Keep it local.